Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Corelli, aka Nini. Today, I'm joined here by a very special friend.
What's up, y'all? My name's Juan. Thank you for having me, Corelli.
Thank you for showing up. So, for today's episode, we will be talking about propaganda war. Following the 9/11 attacks, can you tell us a bit about propaganda and how it started?
Oh yeah, propaganda has always been a thing. It's been this idea to try to influence other people, and it's been used since the day of the ancient Greeks who used the theater, games, and oratory to promote ideas and beliefs. It's been used by Genghis Khan in warfare. When he laid siege to a city, he would send in spies to try to make the people scared of how his army was. So he would overreact to how his army was. He would say it was bigger, it was stronger, they had bigger weapons, things like that. And the first actual use of the word propaganda came from the Catholic Church, in which they were trying to propagate, get it, propaganda, to the message of Christianity, and they were doing it to natives, which is where the first thing came up of propaganda, the first word used of propaganda came up.
Okay, so I think we could both agree to say that propaganda has had huge effects on the United States today, especially big events like 9/11, like trying to stop influence on terrorism. Can you tell us more?
Yeah, especially since the 9/11 attacks happened. The 9/11 attacks happened because of terrorists who were unfortunately influenced by Al-Qaeda and their propaganda. So ever since then, the U.S. has been trying to become more involved in trying to stop that terrorism. And the main method of terrorists use, like I said before, is actually propaganda. So they will use anything simple as Call of Duty, or they will try to show this lifestyle of terrorists to make it look good for other young people.
Dude, Call of Duty is crazy. But when you said lifestyle, what do you mean by that?
Well, the main people who do terrorism in the U.S., or the main people who did 9/11 were actually Islamic. They were Muslim. And due to that, they believe that in their radical extremist ideas, they believe that the U.S. is actually the enemy of Islam.
Oh, wow.
So they're believing that if they can actually become those terrorists, they can rank higher in religion hierarchy, they can rank higher in social hierarchy, and they do many more things. Not only that, but the terrorists also kind of do a job of showing this luxurious lifestyle of a terrorist. And one of the biggest examples we have of this is actually suicide bombers who believe that after they are done doing their mission of suicide bombing places, they will have a reward in the afterlife, and they're mortified for doing stuff like this. So, for example, in Palestine, there used to be like this little wall, not a little wall, but a wall where they would graffiti they would make this thing called Suicide Bomber of the Month, and they would graffiti someone who they thought was the Suicide Bomber of the Month.
That's crazy.
And it would be to kind of influence the youth in a way to make them say, hey, this is actually not that bad.
Yeah. Okay, so how does that connect to 9/11 in U.S. in general?
Well, yeah, since 9/11 attacks were done by terrorists, and since the U.S. is trying to show to other countries and to other people so they don't join terrorism that, hey, we're actually not the bad guys, they have been trying to do counter propaganda, and they have been trying to either show what terrorists really do, or they are showing American lifestyle through companies like Disney in propaganda as well.
Disney, really? I mean, I guess so. Wasn't like Disney like a huge thing? I mean, it kind of still is. Like, what's that about?
Well, yeah, they are a huge thing, and that's the biggest reason why the U.S. used them, due to how Disney has this reputation of being a kids company and how they make kids movies. They wanted to show themselves as actually the good people. Like I said before, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and all those Islamic terrorists, extremist groups, they think of the U.S. as an enemy, as the enemy to Islam. So they're trying to use Disney to say, actually, we're not the bad guys here, we're actually the good guys here, and we're just minding our own business.
Okay, so I know you brought up Islam. How does that affect them?
Well, the people who did 9/11, like I said before, were Muslim. And that has caused a lot of issues, especially in our culture, because it has led to a lot of controversy and theories. So, for example, the Ground Zero Mosque controversy, which Americans believe because they were gonna make a mosque and a place for community for Muslims near Ground Zero in 9/11, and due to this, people felt that the Muslims were like celebrating over them in some sort of way, and this got the idea of discrimination against the Muslims, and that they are terrorists in a way, that they all support this 9/11 thing in a way.
That's crazy. But thank you so much, Juan, for joining me today. I truly love this conversation. It was definitely eye-opening, which is why I honestly started this podcast, to continue the influence of good information to help others. Well, until next time. Ciao, guys.